This is a basement. The ceiling is covered with pipes and electrical, and it's kind of low-key falling in, but not dripping water on anything, thank God. It's like $50 of emergency blankets, the cheapest rugs from Amazon. Turned it into my own little atelier. Very drag. Hey, it's me, Sasha Velour. Welcome to my home. I'm your Drag Race Season 9 winner. This is my natural habitat in Brooklyn, New York. Have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. You ready? Interesting question. When you have like an anklet on, you know you're giving sex. I always dreamed of living in New York City. I first came to visit New York when I was 10 years old. It was like the first hotel I'd ever stayed at, and they changed the carpets for like good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I was like, I want to live in a place where that level of detail is being put on the carpet in the elevator. I grew up in Urbana, Illinois, right in the middle of the state of Illinois, surrounded by corn and soybeans and the smell of a Kraft cheese factory. Football teams, I can't remember what's it called, for the tractors. Yes, so that is the setting in which all this was created. I would walk down the rows of corn pretending that I was on a runway, practice my model walk. So fun fact, I was on the very first episode of Out of the Closet. Today I'm gonna take you into my life and my fashion out of the closet. And I remember, just like this time, it was a good excuse to actually clean up my chaos and make it presentable. I keep all of the beautiful drags behind this corner in my tiny closet. Come with me and we'll take a look. And 6 months to a year afterwards, we ran out of space in that tiny apartment. The last time you saw me, I was living still in my original Brooklyn apartment, tiny 1-bedroom. And I also had a separate space that I used for photo shoots and to store all the costumes that didn't fit into the apartment. The amount of looks I have increased exponentially during that time. I've done 2 world tours with one-person shows that each have 10 costumes each, plus all of the meet and greet looks that I like. And then I just obviously have an addiction to beautiful, beautiful, brightly colored things. I need help, but these help me. Now I've combined those spaces into one. I live in a townhouse a little further out in Brooklyn by the park, where all the older queer people live with our sickly dogs instead of children. And there's so much more space. I have a yard. I can see the sky and hear birds. I'm basically living in the suburbs now, but I need it for the amount of gorgeous, beautiful rhinestone that I am storing in the basement and in every closet. All my racks are organized by color. This is the yellow, orange, brown, silver, and of course leopard print rack. I am very organized. Black and white, red and pink. We got some lavender, purple, green, mint and teal is my favorite color in the blue-green spectrum. Then a couple royal blue. Nothing navy. I do not like that color. But I don't know if I am particularly careful. I can organize things by color and they look really beautiful. I can sort things into different boxes. But then they are kind of crumpled up inside those boxes. My crazy look from the promo of season 9. The hangers are maybe not the best way to store some of these beautiful, priceless, delicate garments. I'm just grateful it's not on the floor. We're in a flood zone, I have to be mindful. Lift things up off the ground. Beautiful naughty nighty costume from Drag Race. Still holding in there. And then I was on the very first Out of the Closet, and I had an idea that I came up with while we were filming of wearing my Drag Race crown that was too big for my head around my neck and creating a whole dress inspired by the crown to wear with it.
I've thought about making a dress that matches this and just wear it as a beautiful collar. And I did it. I think it was pretty shortly after we filmed it because I posted it, I think, like right when I gave up my crown. Probably within like a month after we filmed Out of the Closet, which is so funny. This is that outfit made by Diego Montoya, of course, and we used all the stones and colors in the season 9 winning crown. It's a pretty unhinged collection of jewels, but I really love it. And I wore it with the crown as like a neck piece and then holding the scepter. I really love this. Also like very impractical and sticks to everything.
I want to say yes, I have improved since the last time you saw me. It's just more of the same, honestly. The quality of the garments has improved since you last saw me. I've had reason to make some fabulous stuff. This piece I really love. It's kind of falling apart, but it's made of this beautiful beaded fringe made by Diego Montoya, and this, you can only buy this fabric in Santee Alley. So we don't have it in New York. So he like got some of it and we made this beautiful dress. And my claim to fame is that Lady Gaga wanted to borrow this outfit for her Vegas jazz residency and asked Diego for it, and he said he didn't have it. But then she didn't ask me to borrow it. I would have sent it to her. Lady Gaga, I will send you any of these items. But yeah, I still feel like that's such an honor that she liked it well enough. It's not too late. It's not too late, Gaga. You can have it. Aesthetically, everything's gotten a little bump up. It was in an IKEA bookshelf before. Now it's on metal shelving. There we go. This is the look that I made for my first Dragcon as a crowned winner. And I wanted to really turn out a whole production, so I made my costumes match the booth. Absolutely gorgeous. This is still one of my favorite things I've ever worn. It was really hot and heavy to wear for an entire day in Los Angeles, but I committed to it. I think the headpiece was glued to me the entire day, so I wasn't getting out of it even if I wanted to. I love the fashion and costuming part of drag. It's not the starting point for me. And I think that is evident from my run on Drag Race and the quality of the costumes that I wore. But it was really about character and storytelling. And I still start there. Like, I dream up what kind of character I want to portray, and then the fashion comes from that. My inspiration for this was a sorceress. Like, when I think of looks, I like to find archetypical characters and adjectives to describe it, and I wanted this fairy tale evil sorceress with a bird familiar. Because it's why wear feathers when you can wear a whole bird? I love what feathers do to an outfit, but I don't like birds. There's pigeons everywhere in New York, and you can tell in their eyes that they don't love. You know what I mean? I'm actually really afraid of birds, and if a bird were actually on me like this, I would be completely panicked. Was I attacked by a bird as a child? The first time I went to Australia, I got to meet an ostrich. And I obviously love their work, but I had never met one before. They are so frightening and dirty and mean. So many animals love, but I don't believe that birds love. I'll believe it when I see it. I see when I think about what birds are thinking, it looks like they're it's 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1. They may be robots. I do believe, I'm not a believer that birds are fake and they're all drones. But I love that conspiracy theory. It's I am a fan of them. That's the problem. I'm a huge fan of birds. I just want to keep my distance from them. I've had these Victoria's Secret style angel wings for 7 years. I think I wore them on the tour right after winning Drag Race. Look really legit. I just wore them the other day to be a monster that eats birds. For a Halloween show. The best ideas for a drag number start out as a bad joke of a really terrible idea, and then you just keep spitballing until it turns into something genius. It's always something that I say jokingly to someone about a dumb drag idea that becomes the most brilliant ones. I had the idea of starting my book tour disguised as one of those like chairs that is always sitting on the stage when you go to a book tour. I really did start the show with the chair coming out. I sit in it for like 5 minutes on the stage while videos play. The house lights are still on, and then the lights come down. The number starts, and the spotlight makes it look like I'm gonna come in from the side of the stage until right when the lyrics start, and then one of the stagehands comes and rips the blanket off and my face appears and the lip sync starts and everyone goes crazy and is like, why is she so stupid? The show is called The Big Reveal, so I felt like challenged to come up with more iconic reveals. Taking your wig off, that's like reveals 101. Popping out of a chair that you thought was a set piece, that's an advanced reveal level. It looks just like me. I'm not really a fashion queen because I don't like fit into actual like designer garments. So no one gives me them to wear and I don't really get invited to the shows. My shoulders are too powerful. It's really hard to find a mannequin that like is my body shape. I pretty much have to pad all their shoulders and asses out. I don't really follow the fashion industry. I'm so much more into like theater costuming and historical costume. But I guess like if you learn about like types of fabric and sewing techniques and have a love of clothing, like I guess you're into fashion. But I wouldn't label myself that way. My famous So Emotional dress from the season 9 finale that I showed on the last Out of the Closet, and at the time they were stopping making this fabric, which like some people have described it as hideous, and I guess I kind of see that. But I love it so much. They were not gonna be making anymore, so I bought the rest of the bolt and made a trench coat out of this. And then also like found a similar fabric that actually has roses on it. Actually, the silhouette for this dress was modeled off of the dress I wore for the makeover challenge. I had never worn something so like short and tight fitting and sexy, and when I saw it on TV, I was like, oh my God, it looks so good in that one. So let me just do that one again in a different fabric. I actually hated watching myself. I think I could just feel all the nervousness that I knew I had. People change and grow so fast. I felt like when I finally saw the episodes, I was like, oh my God, I've grown so much since then. I'm embarrassed to see that old self. Actually, now that I have more distance from it, I feel more tender about it. And I can appreciate like where I was at that time and where I was emotionally and psychologically at that time, just as like, I have a little bit of separation from that person. And I can see like, God, they were working so hard. Good for them. This is a dress made of 100-year-old quilts that my great-grandmother made that my mom left for me in a box. This is so special to me, and I feel like it connects me to my family. My mom was a quilter and made me, my first custom piece ever made was like a quilt for my bed for my mom, picking out the fabrics, and so I connect fashion to quilting. There's so many times in my life that I was like, I don't want it to be like this, and felt defeated and lonely, or like having lost something. And like creativity and drag saved me every time. Like pushing myself to make something. My Sentimentals box is right in the corner here. I just have like all the things that I don't think I would wear again, but can't bear to get rid of. My pony hide gloves that I made in my hotel room on Drag Race for my Village People look. The collar for Madonna made of cardboard and paper. Yeah, and then this turquoise suit that I wore for the news anchor look that was my mom's like actual work uniform in the 80s. So these things are very sentimental. Some of my very first drag. This is like the one thing that my mom made for me to wear in drag before she passed away, and it's just a simple reveal skirt because I was ripping my clothes off from the very beginning, and she didn't really get to see me become the drag queen that I am, but she definitely saw the beginning of the journey, and I feel like set me down the right path. So I love this. I've already done so much that I thought would be like my life goal just in the past 10 years. Like writing a play and touring it around the world, executive producing a TV show, doing drag in places that were politically fraught, showing people that this is an art all about love and acceptance and not something dangerous or threatening to anyone. So I guess like just being able to do more of the same would be a dream. I've told my story a lot and made a lot of work about my real life and about my mom and my gender. I'm tired of that. I want to like create fantasy now. Murder mysteries, horror movies, workplace comedies. Like, I feel like the drag perspective on those things is like the next thing to explore. And anyone with an imagination can come up with that. So I feel like drag queens need to become writers and directors. Well, thank you all so much for coming by and peeking inside the closet. Now I need to go give some attention to my dog who I've been ignoring for hours. Thank you. Love you. Bye. Say goodbye. Okay, well, see you next time. Bye.